welcome to another English language class. Today, my name is Happiness Ndewe, and today we'll be studying composition writing part 4. And part 4 talks about expository writing, and our topic is in the theme writing. Before we go into our lesson for today, let's take a look at the objectives for our lesson. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to define expository composition, list and explain the forms of expository compositions, list some things to consider when writing expository compositions, and write an expository composition. So these are the things we are supposed to know how to do or learn how to do by the end of today's lesson. So these are the things we are supposed to do, be able to do at the end of today's lesson. Now, let's go to our lesson for today. In previous lessons, we talked about composition writing, and we did say that composition writing has to do with writing creatively about a specific topic or theme. We went ahead to talk about the types of compositions, and we said that we have 4 basic types of compositions, and they are the narrative composition, the descriptive composition, the expository composition, which is what we'll study today, and lastly, the argumentative composition. Now, what is an expository composition? When we say something is expository, what do we mean? We mean that it exposes, explains, or describes another thing. In the same way, an expository essay or composition describes, explains, or exposes the details about a subject or topic to readers. That's what an expository essay does. It explains a topic or describes a topic or exposes something about a subject to the readers. Expository compositions provide new information to readers about a particular subject matter or theme. And another name for expository writing is called informational writing. This is because that is what an expository composition is all about. It informs the readers. It shares new and relevant information to readers about a topic or a subject. Writing an expository composition is like teaching someone a particular topic, just like I'm doing right now. When you're teaching someone a particular topic, you teach someone who does not know anything about that topic, and at the end of the day, the person learns something new about that topic and can go ahead to teach someone else. So that is how the expository composition works. It simply explains to and informs readers about the details of a particular topic or subject matter. The writer of an expository composition explains the subject based on facts and true information rather than mere guesswork or assumptions of his personal opinion or imagination. When we write expository compositions, we do so based on facts that we have either discovered or facts that have been in existence over time. We do so also based on true information. The facts you gather must be true. The information you gather as your facts must be true. For instance, if you want to write about the solar system, you must have studied and known how many planets that are in the solar system. You must also have studied about the planets in relationship or in relation to the sun. So you must know all the facts that surround the solar system before you can confidently teach or write an expository essay about the solar system. So, in essence, what I'm trying to say is that writing a composition which is an expository composition has to do with writing based on facts which we as the writers must have discovered by ourselves and are true, or facts that have existed or have been in existence over time. He or she does not write about ideas that have not been proven true. The writer of an expository composition does not just imagine that something is in a particular way. He doesn't just assume or tell his readers what he feels, that is, his opinions. He proves his facts, or the facts he has gathered, he proves them, and when he knows that they are true, he puts them down into his expository composition. This means that the writer must be an expert, that is, someone who is knowledgeable about what he or she is writing about. If you want to write an expository composition, you must know a lot, quite a lot, about a particular topic before you can confidently teach someone about it. I can teach you expository composition today because I know about expository composition. So that's how it works when we are writing essays of that nature. Now here on the board we have some subjects to write about with regards to expository compositions. Some topics that we can write expository compositions about. So these are just suggested topics. How to care for your dog. You can decide to teach your readers about the ways to care for their dog. How to cook your favorite food. The solar system. Farming practices. How the kidney works. And so on and so forth. There are a lot of things, a lot of subject areas that we can write or teach people about. Now, some examples of expository writings include newspaper and magazine articles. If you're very conversant with newspapers and magazines, you'll find that in a specific corner in those papers, newspapers or magazines, you'll find articles on various topics or various subject areas or various areas of interest for different types of people. You can find information on medicine, which would interest doctors. You can also find information on law or engineering that would touch the various types of people that would interest various types or categories of people in the society. So those articles are good examples of expository writings. We also have encyclopedias or dictionaries, books that explain concepts or explain words, explain phrases and what have you. These materials provide information about the words we use. So they are also good sources or good types of expository writings. We also have textbooks on different subjects. Our school textbooks are good examples of expository writing. Different subjects such as science, history, babies, animals, and so on and so forth. So books on these different areas which provide information about these areas are good examples of expository writing. Now we also have forms of expository writing or types or ways in which expository writing can come or ways in which we can have expository writing. We have the process or sequential essays, descriptive or definitive essays, comparison essays, cause and effect essays, and problem solution essays. These are the forms of expository writing. We can write expository compositions in any of these forms. Now we are going to look at them one after the other. Process and sequential essays. What is this about? This type of expository composition teaches us how to do something. The main purpose of this essay is to teach readers about the process or processes involved in carrying out a particular activity. Process or sequential essays help us or teach us how to do something. The processes or process involved in carrying out a particular activity. For example, how to cook your favorite meal. This, as a subject of an essay, would teach the reader how to prepare that meal step by step. It lists out the various processes involved in cooking a particular meal. Another one is how to build a house. This would teach engineers or people that are interested in building houses how to go about building a house from the beginning, from the first step to the last step. We also have how to swim, how to care for a sick dog, how to write an essay, how to paint, how to drive a car, and so on. So these topics are good examples of process or sequential essays because they teach you how to do something, how to carry out an activity, the processes involved in learning something, learning to do something. So this is one form of expository writing. Another form of expository writing is descriptive or definitive essays. Expository writing also comes in form of descriptive or definitive essays. And what are descriptive essays? This style of writing has to do with passing on information to our readers through definitions and descriptions of topics by their characteristics, features, examples, or traits. This type of writing simply has to do with defining or describing a topic by its character or characteristics, features, examples, and so on. It simply has to do with defining or describing that topic. And a good example of a descriptive type of expository essay is what we have in a dictionary or encyclopedia. You find in dictionaries that we have words, definitions of words, explanations, examples, and so on. So this is an example of a descriptive or a definitive essay. Dictionaries and encyclopedias provide information about the description or definition of a thing, object, idea, entity, and many other things. Another form of expository writing is the cause and effect essays. Expository writing also takes the form of cause and effect essays. And what are cause and effect essays? In which the writer provides information which analyzes the reason for a particular subject or topic, as well as the consequences of the same subject matter. A cause and effect essay simply has to do with a kind of essay that provides the reason for something or the reason why something happened, and also the consequences, that is, what effect will that reason have on somebody, an organization, a place, or whatever. So it deals with the reason and the effect of that reason on another thing. The reason for the action is the cause, while the consequence of the action is the effect, where the effects can either be positive or negative. For example, a good topic for such an essay as this would be the cause of examination malpractice and its effect on the educational system of Nigeria. Someone who intends to write on a topic like this would list out or discuss, first of all, the cause of examination malpractice or the causes of examination malpractice and the effects that examination malpractice has on the educational system of Nigeria. So in this topic, the writer handles the cause of examination malpractice and the effect of examination malpractice on the educational system. So this is an example of a cause and effect kind of essay. Another form of expository writing is the comparative or contrast essays. And the comparative essay is a type of expository writing that analyzes two topics or subjects. And when we write comparison essays, we find and explain the similarities between the topics we are analyzing. We also look out for differences between the topics and explain them to our readers. So a contrast or comparison kind of essay has to do with discussing the similarities between two topics or the differences between two topics or both. The aim of this kind of essay is to provide information necessary for readers to analyze and understand the differences and similarities between two topics. Now, some topics in form of comparative or contrast essays are the difference between two systems of government, the similarities between two organizations, the difference between owning and renting a house. We can discuss these topics in regards or with regards to expository writing. Another form of an expository composition is the problem-solution type. And this type of expository writing presents an existing problem and also the solutions to that particular problem. And what this means is that the writer provides relevant information that would solve a problem. The problem solution essay is broken into a brief introduction to the problem, and the rest of the essay is filled with content about the solution to the problem. So as the name implies, the problem solution essay has to do with preferring or stating a problem and then providing solutions to that problem. This is what the writer does when writing a problem solution kind of essay. Now, the first part of this kind of essay is a brief introduction into the problem. The writer states what the problem is or what exists as a problem. And then the next part of the essay has to do with content about the solution to the problem. So the writer does not stop at presenting a problem or stating a problem. He also goes ahead to find solutions to that problem and state it in his essay, because that is the essence of a problem solution kind of essay. Now, an example of this kind of essay would be the solution to examination malpractice in Nigerian schools. Another one is the solution to flooding in the Niger Delta. And then also we have the solution to domestic violence in Nigerian families. These are examples of topics that we can write as problem solution kind of essays. As we see here, we find that they provide solution to an existing problem. This one here provides the solution to examination malpractice in Nigeria, which is the problem. The second one provides solution to flooding in the Niger Delta, and flooding in the Niger Delta is the problem. The problem to this one is domestic violence in Nigerian families. So these are good examples of topics to write this kind of essay on. Now, having talked about the forms of expository writing, let's go ahead to look at some tips that would help us when writing expository compositions or expository essays. Now, the first thing to do is to determine your objectives. And what are your objectives? When we started this class, I did list out some things that we should be able to do by the end of this class. So that is my objective. That is what I intend to achieve, and that is why I am teaching. In the same way, the writer states his objectives, what he wants to pass across to the readers. What information does he want the readers to get? What does he want his readers to know? So those things would constitute or would make up his objectives. So before we begin to write expository essays, we need to decide on the kind of information we intend to pass on to our readers. We may decide to pass on educational information, that is information about education. We can also decide to pass on political information, information about politics, the government, the society, those who rule us. We can also decide to pass on cultural information, the way of life of the people in our society. And then we can pass on religious information and also historical information. So the writer can decide which kind of information, or the writer should decide what kind of information he wants his readers to get, what he wants them to know. There are different types of information to pass across to readers, and the writer should determine that before he begins to write. No matter the type of information we want our readers to get, we must ensure that we know the facts about that information. And this is because we provide information in expository essays based on facts and true information, not our personal opinions. Whatever you choose as your objective, the type of information you want your readers to get, we must ensure that we know about those topics or that topic adequately, enough to convince our readers or to teach our readers about them. Now, after determining our objectives, another thing to do is to choose a good topic. When we decide on what information to pass to our readers, we go ahead to choose a topic. And our topic sentence must be clearly stated so that readers know what to expect from our writing. The topic of our essay should be one that passes across information about a particular subject at a time. We should write our topic clearly in such a way that it permits us to pass one information at a time, so that we do not end up confusing our readers by giving them a lot of information at once. It is important to avoid mixing up information on various topics in our writing. This will give our writing focus and make us not overload our readers with too much information at once. It is also important to choose a topic that we know quite a lot about and can write on. We should choose a topic that we know about, a topic that we know the details about. Even if we know details about the topic, we should do extra research, but basically it shouldn't be a topic that you know nothing about. This is because you would run out of information to pass on to your readers, and you won't write that topic with confidence because you do not know enough to pass across to your readers. Now, after we choose our topic, before we begin to write, it is important for us to gather facts about the topic and stick to them. It is necessary for us to gather factual information on our topic. We are not to base our writings on our personal opinions. That is what we think about the subject, because expository essays should be about facts and true information. Before we begin to write, we should do some form of research. Find out about a topic. Even if you know something about a topic, or even if you know the topic you have chosen so well, it is important to research about that topic again, because the information about that topic may have changed. We do know that things or ideas or concepts change over time. So we must be sure that what we know is what is relevant and what is recent, the recent information about that topic. So we should do some findings about the topic we have chosen. We therefore need to do proper research, as I've said, to find out correct details on a particular topic before we present them to our readers. For example, if you want to write about the solar system, we need to find out about the planets, the sun, and the relationship between them. Now, some sources of research or some materials that would help us in our research include books and relevant materials. We also have the internet as another means of getting relevant information for our research. So we can read books, we can read journals, articles, different materials to gather information about a particular topic. We can also take advantage of new technology, that is the internet. Surf the net for new and relevant information concerning a particular topic you want or you wish to write about. Another thing to note is that we should ensure that we write in a clear and concise manner. The aim of expository compositions is to pass information or educate readers about a particular subject or topic. And for our readers to get the information we intend to pass across to them, Our writing should be clear enough for them to understand. And we will achieve this by using simple words and less complex sentences. We should bear in mind that our readers are not all so educated. Most of them may not have or may not have gotten the standard of education which we have. So we must write in such a way that anybody can pick up our writing and understand what we mean by using simple words, less complex sentences, so that reading our work will be interesting and exciting to them. Our writing should also be concise, and this means that we give out a lot of information in a few words. That is, in a brief but comprehensive way. Writing this way will be helpful to us because our readers have a short attention span. So, before we lose their attention, they must have read through what we have written. Our writing should be concise, say a lot of things or give out a lot of information, but in a few words. Don't make your writing too lengthy unnecessarily, because readers have a short attention span. Not many people have the time to sit down to read a very long essay or composition. So we should write as short as possible, giving out as much detail as possible. That way our work or our writing is more interesting to read. Yet another thing to take note of is that we should write in paragraphs. Don't jumble up your writing in a block. Don't just write and keep writing. Space your work out in paragraphs. Compositions are usually in 3 parts: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. These are the 3 parts of compositions, and these parts come in a new paragraph. When writing, the introduction takes 1 paragraph, the body of the work, which contains the relevant information about that topic, takes another paragraph, and then when you want to conclude or when you wrap up your writing, the conclusion also takes another paragraph. The body of the composition, which contains the main information about the subject, is further broken into other paragraphs. And we break the body of the composition this way, depending on how much information we intend to pass across to readers. If we are writing on the topic, how to care for your dog, for example, every new point about this topic should take a different paragraph. Now, for this kind of essay, when we go into the body of the essay and we list out the ways to take care of a dog, when we list or if we intend to list out one and explain in that manner, every new point basically should take a new paragraph. For instance, if you say something like, we should bathe the dog at least 2 times daily, that should take 1 paragraph. Then explain how important or why it's important to bathe a dog 2 times daily. Another point could be that we should feed the dog regularly. That is another way to take care of the dog. So we don't mix these 2 points together in a single paragraph. Every new point should take a new paragraph. That way our work is easier and more interesting to read. And we do this so that our readers take in a piece of information at a time, and to make our writing tidy and interesting to read. We've come to the end of our lesson today on expository writing. But let's refresh our minds on all we learned today. Today we learned that an expository composition is a kind of composition that teaches readers about a particular topic or subject. We also learned that expository compositions are based on facts and true information, not the writer's opinion or assumptions. We learned also that expository writing comes in different forms, and the forms of expository writing are the process or sequential essays, definitive or descriptive essays, cause and effect essays, problem or solution essays, and comparative or contrast essays. We also talked about some issues to consider when writing expository compositions, and we talked about determining your objectives, choosing a good topic, gathering facts and sticking to them, and also writing in paragraphs and writing in a concise manner. These are all we talked about today. Now let's go into our test for this lesson. Our question for today says, which of these is not a form of expository composition? Is it A, descriptive or definitive essays, B, process essays, or C, informal essays? The correct answer is C, informal essays. Informal essays is not a form of expository composition. We've come to the very end of our class today on expository composition. See you next time in our next lesson.